to Down Your Unders. Down Your Unders. Review and dissection of content from some of the sharpest minds in the game. Hosted by Adam Camilleri. Art of War. Down Under.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 150. Could be 160. I really do not know when this is getting slotted in, but this is a very exciting recording for me because I'm joined by one of my favorite people. He's the handsome portion of the Wolf Council. He's currently a member of Team America for the WTC. Currently residing, are you in Chicago or are you in Boston, mate?
Boston.
Boston, that's it. Oh, you got a little bit of a Boston accent on it as well.
Yeah, working on it.
Boston. I will not do it. I will. Wouldn't that be just a fun 20 minutes of the episode? Just me and you just like absolutely butchering American accent. But I'm joined by the wonderful, the beautiful Jaime Paris. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, man. And welcome everybody to the Champions of Russ podcast, where we're going to be crying together for an hour.
We very well might. Well, I'm excited. So I've recorded a bunch of by the time you listen to this, I have recorded, I think I've got 4 of these done post points, and the points only came out last weekend. So I'm churning the crap out of these episodes. But this is the first time I'm doing one that is quite low on the totem pole and people are quite down on. And I'm hoping we can give some people some hope, but I ain't going to make any promises because I'll straight up. Every Marine faction is good, but someone had to be the worst of the bunch. And it's not really much beating around the bush about which one it is. Yeah. But mate, please plug your wares. Where can people find you if they'd like to join in? Where can people tune into some of your exploits with Team America for WTC as well?
Sure. So I'm part of Tabletop Life. We have a YouTube channel, so you can check us out at Tabletop Life. We do battle reports, breakdowns, that kind of stuff. I haven't been very active because I'm very busy with a non-40K life. But I'm also part of Team USA for WTC. We have a Facebook page that you can check out announcements. We have a great group of guys. Everyone's grinding, and everyone's super excited to go to Belgium this year in August. So keep an eye out for how we do and cheer us on because we need all the support we can get.
Man, it's such an exciting time in the WTC landscape. The arms race is on, and we're gonna in a couple of weeks when lists are in and then lists go live, we will see who thinks they've got the sweet, who thinks they've made the gold happen, who thinks they've cracked the matchups or found the sweet spots. It's going to be so wild to unpack 10th edition once all the best players in the world have literally spent nothing but the last month trying to perfect as much as they can. It's really, really exciting. But if you do not know, if you're just a Space Wolf freaking enthusiast and you were joining me at Art of War Down Under for the first time, this is a 2-part podcast. The first part comes out lovingly curated by myself and Seamus Ronan at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. The part 2 of this podcast can be found at Art of War Down Under over on Patreon, where you can get access to a beautiful Discord, help guide, put in questions, and dictate the content that I make to some degree. At the moment, there's no real pattern to what I'm doing. I had some great aspirations of having the patrons, tell me which ones they wanted me to do, and now things have just gotten so hectic, and I've been dumped into. I'm just literally recording whatever episodes I can whenever I can get the people I want to talk to about it on. But if you want to join in and be involved with that as well, and possibly get some very early content, because once this stuff gets done by the editor, there's no need for me to hold it back from the patrons. You guys, they just get the content as soon as it's hot off the press. Whereas if you're on the other side of the paywall, well, every Tuesday you just get your next episode. And if that's good enough for you, that's so much the better. Enjoy it. Hopefully, Art of War Down Under is helping you stay up to date, stay current, and stay relevant in this great and ever-evolving 10th edition. But my man, jumping into the Space Wolves review, what was your first impression? Yes. What was your first impression, your hot take, once you went through this index for the first time?
So my first impression was a little biased because I came from 9th edition having had a lot of fun and success with Wolfguard jump pack units, Wolfen, my special characters, my successor with double exploding sixes and so on. So I went looking for that mobility, that MSU power, and that punch in combat where like one Thunderhammer suddenly can wipe a squad of Marine if you roll enough sixes, right? So I came looking for that power, and at first glance, I did not see it. And I was pretty disappointed, right? Like there was no more Wolfguard with jump packs. Wolfen are no more. So I was upset. I won't sugarcoat it.
Well, dude, I echo that sentiment completely. Like when the four Space Marine sub-factions came out, like the non-codex compliant ones, I went through all of them, like a cursory go through all of them, and I was like, most of the Space Marine rules don't even hold a candle to the Gladius, let alone giving anything spicy or thematic to Space Wolves. Everything they have just has another level of terms and conditions on it, as I love to say on this show, and everything that seems like they have to work harder for stuff that everyone else just gets given.
Yeah. Like you look at Death Watch, you look at Dark Angels, you look at just Blood Angels, like the rules that we have to fight for, as you said, right? Everyone else gets for free at the beginning of the game, whereas you're going to get them through like you're just grinding.
Dude, yeah, Templars rock up to the table, pick the buff you want. Most likely 6 I'll feel no pain. There is nothing in the entire Space Wolves lexicon, the entire index, that holds a candle to just that 6 I'll feel no pain that they get. Mind you, I do think there's some very interesting data sheets, some really cool thematic and powerful special characters that hopefully we'll give some people we can work on, especially in part 2. We're going to unpack some of Jaime's lists, what he's excited about, what he wants to run, why he thinks it's good, stuff like that. So please jump over there. But mate, let's jump into the detachment rules, which of course is Champions of Rust. Same usual restrictions you get everybody else. But you cannot include tactical squads, assaults with jump pack, devastator squads, command squads, or Primaris apothecaries, because you have all of those yourself, except for the apothecary. We're going to go another edition where the Space Wolves do not have the apoth.
I mean, lore-wise, they're accurate. We don't have apothecaries, but our chaplains are supposed to be our apothecary. And they lost their rule to like heal for a CP. Like they didn't even give us that bad rule. You know, it's like, where's the fluff? I want the fluff.
It is a bit rough. Tell us how the deeds worthy of saga work.
So deeds worthy of a saga are the 10th edition version of your warlord traits from 9th, right? So 9th, you would give your character a warlord trait that would get a buff. And if they complete the according saga, they would give an army buff or an aura buff. Now it's any character can complete it and your entire army benefits. So there's 4 sagas. Saga of the Warrior Born. This one requires your character to kill an enemy character during a battle round, right? And if you accomplish that, you get sustained hits 1 for your entire army. And this applies to only melee weapons, not shooting, right? And then quick side note, these sagas, when you complete them at the end of the battle round, if the saga thing was completed, you get to pick that saga and activate it. So if you can only activate 1 saga per battle, and you can only activate 1 saga per battle round, is my understanding. Is that correct?
You can, so you can activate all the sagas, but only once per battle. Once per battle. It's interesting. So straight up, so these. I want to caveat these as well, because each one of these requires a character, not a character unit or a joined unit. The actual character in the unit has to do the thing.
Yeah, character model has to do it. And you have to kill an enemy character model, not an enemy character unit, right? So you have to get through the entire unit and the character, not just the bodyguard and then the character detaching.
Well, the best case, it's already very hard. The benefit is you get sustained hits. You get exploding 6s army-wide, but only on melee weapons. So the character doesn't have to kill the other character in melee. It says just when they destroy one. So you can do it like, pop them in there with a plasma pistol or something. But then only the melee portion gets exploding 6s. It would be much nicer if it was all the time. But anyway, what's the next one, mate?
The next one is Saga of Majesty. So this requires a character model to be within range of an objective in your opponent's deployment zone. So you got to get right in there with your unit. And if you control the objective at the end of either player's turn, then you get the benefit, which is everyone's OC, objective control. That's how you control objectives in 10th edition, is increased by 1. Now that is really, really powerful, especially because how hard it is to flip objectives, with tanks being objective 3, objective 5, that kind of stuff. It starts mattering when you put multi-model units on an objective. But to take your opponent's home objective, that is tough.
Difficult. Yeah, not going to sugarcoat it. It is hard. The T's and C's on this are a little on the forgiving side, which I like, because it says that you only need to hold it at the end of any player's turn, so you can just charge it off, charge onto your opponent's objective, kill off a menial unit, and then just hold it, get wiped yourself, but still get the benefit army wide, which I do like. But still, it's a lot of distance to close now that you don't have jump packs.
Yeah, exactly. So like you're surviving the turn in the open, then you have to get through their screens, then you have to get to the home objective, right? It's tricky. It's cool because there's several units like Fenrisian Wolves and Cyber Wolves that have objective control 0. And then them going to 1 is really cool. Your troops going to objective control 3 makes it really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Apothecary Biologist, the guy that goes to 9 OC.
Yeah.
Then he goes to 10, just to stack one more on there, right? Like it's cool. It's fun. It's just, God, you got to work for it.
Dude, exactly right. This is what we're saying pretty much. Like, there's so many other ones that just get a freaking buff by breathing, by osmosis, and here you are working your butt off. Saga of the Bear is the next one. It's completed if one or more Adeptus Astartes character models from your army were reduced below their starting number of wounds, but were not destroyed. Sorry, below half of their starting number of wounds were not destroyed. So I wish it was just freaking half, so that if I had a 4-wound character, they get it at 2 wounds rather than 1 wound.
Or just take damage.
Or just any damage. Like, the game is like, so I played a couple of games now. Maybe you're on a similar opinion. If the game has got less killy, it ain't by much. It ain't by much at all.
And the units, and it's gone less killy because some units do no damage, but the units that do now do more damage.
Oh, stonking. The killer units are even killier. It's just everyone else dropped off.
Yes, exactly.
But the benefit here, once completed, is Adeptus Astartes models in your army have the Feel No Pain 6+. Remember how I said that, there's nothing in here that's as powerful as the Black Templars one, because they just get to choose it, and then you have this massive terms and conditions list to get it for yourself. When I first read this, I was like, well, that makes me want to put a character in every unit, just for the chance that it's going to happen somewhere, sometime by accident without me having to work for it too hard.
So there are character models like Wolfguard Battle Leaders that you can put into squads, but then you're just hoping your opponent's last activation decides to shoot at your little unit and you bait it, right? And then you got to fail the save, right?
That's exactly right, yeah. Because the way it works now is that if the attack doesn't have precision, that character can't take any saves or be allocated anything until everyone else in the unit is dead.
Take it on the character?
You can't. I don't think you can. You might be right, and you can, but from what I can tell, I don't know if you can. But yeah, let's look into that in part 2. We'll leave it on the side. That's a little tidbit. We'll do a little deep dive. What's the last one?
The last one is Saga of the Beast Slayer, probably the easiest one to get, and it's pretty good. So this one is completed if one Astartes character model, not the unit, from an army destroys one or more enemy monsters or vehicles during the battle round. And the benefit is melee weapons equipped with your units have the lethal hits. So if you start stacking these, it's really cool because sustain hits and lethal hits, but you still have to kill a model, a monster or vehicle. It doesn't say in combat, but only your melee weapons get lethal hits.
Yeah, and it's... I don't know what people's impressions of the edition are so far at home, but it seems to be like it's going to be a very shooty edition. And with all these being predominantly melee based, or I do like the OC control, but I really like the Feel No Pain. I wonder how far out of the way I should go to get these things. What's your value proposition there? Should people really build their armies to try and min-max these? Or should we just be like, if they happen, cool, moving on?
So the 2 challenges, right? The first is if you wanted to take this detachment, the Champion of Rust for these sagas, because you're limited to activating 1 per battle round, it's going to take you at least 4 battle rounds to get them all. And it's going to require 4 characters with 4 effective units to complete these, right? You need a unit to cross the table to get your opponent's objective.
Yep.
You need a unit to go kill a character enemy model. You need a unit where the character can tank some damage but still go below half but not die. And then the last one is going and killing a monster or vehicle. So it's 4 units with 4 characters over 4 battle rounds. like, how do you argue that this is worth pursuing over the Gladius detachment?
You make a strong case there, my man. How do you even contemplate that this is we'll unpack the rest of the package, because hopefully the stratagems are superb. Hopefully the enhancements are really worthwhile, but on face value, this is awful. Straight up.
It's great for a narrative game. It's great for casual play. It's great for low-level competitive if you just want to have fun. Yeah. In part 2, I'm going to share some really silly, fun lists that can score this stuff. Like, I've built a list to score all 4 sagas.
That's awesome.
But you're not winning a tournament, but you are going to have fun. So, pick what you want to do with your game, man. It's early 10th. It's not exactly balanced just yet. Correct. I wouldn't worry about trying to win a tournament with Woos just yet. Every Wolves player is incredibly passionate. Just go enjoy it, man.
That's a great perspective, man. I freaking echo that. Like, it's going to be, the edition's going to be a mess for probably about 3 to 6 months. So whilst this might not be the most competitive option, don't split hairs. If you want to play it, you go freaking play it. It's your army, it's your hobby, and if you want to give this a crack, give it a freaking crack. First and foremost, though, they should change all of these to be a character adjoined unit. So if the character or the unit gets the job done, like if the unit that a character is joined to kills a character, cool, you get that saga. If the unit you joined to kills a monster or vehicle, you get that saga. It really should do that, because it's so hard to get that activation correct. Yeah. Like, you're going to be sitting there slow rolling dice ad nauseum trying to get the perfect amount of wounds gone before you activate your character with their Thunderhammer to try and get the last 2 off their character, stuff like that, to try and get the killing blow on the Armiger Warglaive, with your guy with his lightning claws or whatever. It's going to be more annoying than you think. Anyway, give us
Space Wolf players have always enjoyed a challenge. We played when we were the weakest army, and we did great.
That's right.
When we became the strongest, people tilted against us, and we enjoyed the challenge. We've always been the underdogs, and we will continue to be so.
I love it. I love it. Love it so much. All right. First of these stratagems is Armor Contempt, and you know exactly what this does. It's exactly the same as every other Marine one. You've heard me review this for other Marine chapters already, so we're not going to bother. Give us the next one, brother.
Go for the throat. So this is a strat that was also in 9th edition, little reworded. It's used in the fight phase when one of your starter's units has not been selected to fight and is being activated. Until the end of the phase, they get an extra point of AP on their melee weapons. And if Saga of the Beast Slayer, that's the one where you kill the monster or vehicle, you get the Lance ability. Lance is +1 to wound if you've charged. Mm-hmm. Great stratagem, because extra AP is super useful, because AP in combat is pretty low. And then the +1 wound from Lance, super useful if you've done Saga of the Beast Slayer.
Man, yeah, 1 CP for just +1 AP, more than good enough already. And, if you're playing against Knights and you smash one down already, so much the better. The next one's easier to kill. I like that one a lot. I think it's really good. Yeah. Runic Wards is up next. This is 1 CP. This is in your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Adeptus Starters unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of those attacking units attacks. Until the end of the phase, models in the unit have the Feel No Pain 5 possibility against mortal wounds and psychic attacks. If the Saga of the Bear has been completed by your army, till the end of the phase, models in your unit have the 4+ Feel No Pain ability against psychic attacks instead. The Saga of the Bear is the below starting strength character one, which gets to Feel No Pain. So when is this activated? So it's your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase. So the terms and conditions on this are a little bit awkward, as in this sequencing, because what you want to do is when your opponent activates their super mortal wound generating.
Yeah.
Although it's only mortal wounds. It's mortal wounds and psychic attacks. Cool.
Yes.
So
which is good.
Exactly, it's very good. So how does the application here work? Somebody lines up their Wraith Knight with their bunch of 6s, and you're like, well, do you really want to use the 6s? Because I'm going to activate Runic Wards.
It's used before they roll, right? So when you're targeted, you're like, oh crap, your Wraith Knight's about to pick me up. Mm-hmm. Here's a 1 CP, 5 Feel No Pain, and I go, cool, I'll wait for my second Wraith Knight. or my
Yes.
third Wraith Knight.
Yes.
And I'll do my mortals from a different unit.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how might happen at the moment. Hopefully, Wraith Knights go up. I don't know, 700 points, and we don't have this problem. We can have 3 of them for under 1,000. But is this good? I think this is pretty good.
It's good because it's also psychic attacks. So you have attacks from Thousand Suns, you have attacks from demons, you have attacks
Grey
from
Knights.
Tyranids. Having a 5 Phenopain against like damage 2, damage 3 psychic attacks is really good on your multi-wound units. I like it a lot. Again, if you can pull off Saga the Beast Slayer, you have a 6 of Field Pain anyways against everything, and then a 5 and then becomes a 4 of Phenopain against both mortals and psychic attacks is really good on big multi-wound units. But I like it. I like it. When you're standing in the open and you need a little bit of defensive buffs, this is for 1 CP, it's strong.
I think it's really good. What's the next one?
The next one is Death Howl. So this is used in any fight phase. Doesn't say enemy fight phase. 1 adept is to start his unit from your army that destroyed 1 or more enemy units this phase. So after you've done a kill in either fight phase, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a consolidation move, it can move up to 6 instead of 3, provided you end up the constellation move in unit coherency and within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. In addition, if the Saga of Majesty, that's the one where you take your opponent's
home objective,
then enemy units have to take a battle shock test if they're within 6 inches.
Within 6. Yeah. I do not mind that. So even if you can't make it onto an objective, because unfortunately, unlike regular Consolidate, it doesn't say you can move towards the closest objective. It just says has to be the closest enemy to trigger this one. But even then, you might just slap it down and make everybody take the battle shock, and so much the better. You could turn off the OC anyway.
Yes. So really, really cool. And the problem is doing battle shock test in their fight phase is immediately removed in their command phase.
Yeah.
When they just redo it again.
Yikes! It'll make it easy for you to take stuff off them for your end of turn scoring, though, which is not nothing. But you're right; it lasts for literally like 5 seconds, and then they get then it's off again.
Tricky.
But going from a 1 CP to go from a 3 to a 6 consolidate ain't nothing, because the consolidate is pretty
within engagement range.
It does, but it's pretty neutered right now. Consolidate, because you don't get to do it if you can't make base. And well, the difference between not being able to make base with a 3 and not being able to make base with a 6 is actually is a lot different.
Is it base? I thought engagement range is just within an inch.
But the consolidation move says you have to be able to make engagement range to do the consolidation move, right?
Right, but engagement range doesn't require you to base.
That's true. You are absolutely correct. It was I think the pile-in or the charge move. Base. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. I legitimately think this is not too bad, and it may just catch people out, and it brings a little bit more jank back to that possibly jankless section at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, Warrior Pride is up next to 1 CP. When your command phase, 1 adept to start his character from your army. Select 1 saga that has not yet been completed by your army. Till the end of the turn, models in the character's unit have the benefits of that saga until it has been completed by your army. So that's 1 CP plus 1 OC, 1 CP 6 up, feel no pain, 1 CP sustained hits or lethal hits. This is the best one, I think. This is very good.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll get into a debate with the next strat as well. But for this one, it's interesting because it's in your command phase, right? So when it's your go turn, you can either have exploding 6s or lethal hits in combat, or you can go for that extra objective control if you want to go hit your opponent's objectives. But then with Saga of the Bear for the Feel No Pain, it ends at the end of your turn, so you won't have the Feel No Pain to their turn.
I just read that, and my estimation plummeted. So you don't get it through your opponent's shooting phase. It's actually far worse for the 6 up Feel No Pain. So you're way better using this to pop up your damage, yeah?
Yeah, I would say so. Like once you go turn 1 CP exploding 6s, what's interesting is the units have the benefit of the selected saga as if it had been completed by your army. How do you think this interacts with Go for the Throat, where it says if the saga of the Beast Slayer has been completed by your army until the end of the phase, they get lands?
Has been completed by your army? So it's by your army. So it's the right wording that makes me believe that you could. Well, how how's the Wolf Council feeling about this one? What's the
We
brains
can't make
trust
up our
say?
minds, man.
Ooh.
It's tough because it's going to be a TO thing, unfortunately,
Yeah.
regardless of what we think, right? I haven't seen any clarification as to how that works. I have to go through the commentary again to see if I can find it. But if you have a 2 CP combo here where you give a unit Saga of the Beast Slayer for lethal hits in combat, and then you do another CP for go through the throat, you now have +1 a wound, +1 AP, and 6 is auto wound.
Yeah, really good. That is a good pop off combo. Like you just need to get a job done, slap down the CP. It just happens for you.
Yeah.
My reading is, and being generous to the Space Wolves, I think you should be able to do it.
We need it, people. Give us a break.
That ain't no Storm of Fire like game breaking Desolator combo. That's a melee unit guaranteeing a job done for 2 CP. That is very reasonable to me. That could be interpreted that way. All right, last one. Relentless Assault, 1 CP. When your movement phase is just after an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army makes a fallback or advance move, that Adeptus Astartes unit, to the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot even though it fell back or advance this phase. Advanced this phase. If the Saga of the Warrior Born has been completed by your army, to the end of the turn, your unit is also eligible to declare a charge. So if you've gotten which one done for the
Warrior Born is kill a character in combat.
Yeah, so advance and charge if you've killed a character, yeah?
Yes, but with Warrior Pride just above it, if you benefit from that saga as if the army completed it, you can do 1 CP exploding 6s by saying that you have completed that saga and then 1 CP advance and charge.
I think these are cool. These are cool combos. I like them. I think it's cool. I think it's cute.
They are 2 CP combos, which makes it tricky. There's a couple of ways of doing free strats as well.
Correct. Yeah, correct. You just add, the easiest one probably just slapping a captain in the units to be the character that goes and gets these things done and then makes these CP combos work. But yeah, once again, maybe some pumping of the brakes, or make sure you definitely ask your TOs what their interpretation is before you make any assumptions there.
Build your list assuming this will work.
Yes, exactly right. All right, on to the enhancements, mates. What's the first one?
The Pelt of the Beowulf, Adeptus Astartes model only. So enhancements can only go on unnamed characters, so no epic heroes.
Yeah.
So these are just your generic characters. At the start of the fight phase, so any fight phase, each enemy unit that is within engagement range of the bearer, the model, must take a battle shock test. This is cool, like on a big base model, like a Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf.
Yep.
You get charged or charged. Everyone that is within engagement range, not base, so an inch, takes a battle shock test.
I like this. I think it's pretty cool. I'm not sure if I would take it in every army, but I think there's some build arounds, some defensive build arounds. Yeah, people trying to charge off objectives or try and OC you off objectives by charging you and just be like, well, take the battle shock. You might be charging on with OC 0, baby, and this one character just holds it over you. That could be pretty cute. Next one is the Black Death. Adeptus Astartes model only. The bearer's melee weapons have the anti-monster and anti-vehicle 4+ abilities. Now, are there any characters that can take a Thunderhammer?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, we got a combo. So on a 4+ to wound a monster or a vehicle, they just do the mortals. They pop off the dead wounds. That's pretty cute.
It's also cool because you still get Oath of Moment as your army rules.
Of course.
You do get to reroll wounds as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, you get your 5 attacks, you get your 5 hits, your 3-4 wounds. That's 8 mortals that you can do on average to a monster or vehicle. Kind of cool. That helps with Beast Slayer, right? So trying to kill a monster or vehicle.
Absolutely. It helps a lot, actually. What is that? We might unpack it in part 2 what that's going to be best on, but can a Thunderlord take a Thunderhammer?
Yeah. I got a list ready for you.
That's my take, I reckon. All right, what's the next one?
Wolf Tail Talisman, Adeptus Astartes model. Each time an attack is allocated, subtract 1 from the damage. So this is both in combat and shooting.
Don't hate it.
Cool. Sure. Yeah.
Well, it could help a character survive long enough to get to like the 1 or 2 wounds required to get the saga, right?
True.
Rather than just getting D6 plus 2'd off by a friggin' melter gun.
And this applies to devastating wounds as well, right?
Does.
Because you modify the damage before it gets converted to
before
mortals.
it gets converted. That is being confirmed in the
So that's
commentary.
That's nice.
It's nice. Yep. All right. Last one is Frost Weapon. The bear's melee weapons have the precision ability. So the bear, and the strength and AP characteristic of those weapons are improved by a 1. I mean, that looks good. Precision in melee is okay. Strength and AP increase, that's not bad at all. I mean, because like you said, AP in melee has generally gone down. So getting a little bit back.
Remember, you have the strat for +1 AP,
exactly.
right? So now AP 2 on the character.
AP 4 Power Fists, AP 4 Thunder Hammers. That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With strength 9 as well, which is actually a bit of a break point with a lot of the strength 8s. Toughness 8, toughness 9s. All of these benefit a single character. There's nothing here that's a force multiplier, which is a little annoying.
Yeah. There's no bolted discipline. Is that what you were looking for?
That's well, I was looking for anything that would actually benefit any character.
36 in combat, +1 for the unit. Nah, man.
Nothing. None of that. They're here for their own glory. Here for yourselves.
Exactly.
These are all a little disheartening. And generally, none of them are awful. But none of them scream to me, "I must take this one."
Yes.
I think maybe Black Death is the one I like the most because generally speaking, melee is really bad into vehicles. So having some melee that is very good into vehicles could be a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your take? Which ones do you pick if you go on? Yeah.
So for me, it's more, I wouldn't build to put these in because you're putting characters anyways. You won't struggle to find models to put these on. Especially with War Gear being free, like you can pick if you want Thunder Hammers, if you want Claws or whatever.
Yeah.
So that won't be an issue. For me, it's because there isn't granularity as to how to build squads as either min squad or max squad. When you build your list, you might have 30, 50 points left over. That's when you decide to throw in like a Cyberwolf or one of these upgrades.
Fair. Now, everybody needs to, this is the first one we're going to be asking you to raise your glass and pour one out for the Belt of Russ, which for the first time in 2 editions is not present as one of these. Maybe it's coming in the Codex, maybe who knows. But my assumption was, if you had said, Adam, what's one thing that's going to be in the Space Wolves index, I'd be like, the Pelt of Russ will be there, and instead of giving fights last night, it'll give fights first or something to the unit, which I thought would have been freaking sick. So everyone pour one out, Belt of Russ. Maybe it's back in the Codex, but never heard of it right now.
Here's my theory. Because Armor of Russ has been taken out, Demon Russ is coming back.
Oh, he's taking his belt back. He's like, give me that.
Back, baby.
I love it.
That's my theory. That's the only thing that lets me go to sleep at night anymore.
All right. So now we've broken down what you get to if you want to be a special spicy Space Wolf, Space Viking and play with their detachment. You're probably just taking the Gladius, yeah? Unless you really, really want to be thematic.
Correct.
Yeah. Everything I read there was just saying, hey, take the Gladius. Hey, probably take the Gladius. Hey, mate, do you really want to take this? Or would you like to take the Gladius? And
Gladius also has the Lance one, right? So if you go into I would, everything we've read, I would prefer to have once per game advance and charge than any of the stuff we've read.
Correct. And that's just a tip of the iceberg for what you get there. Unfortunately, it's all pretty ordinary. And like we said, there's nothing in there that's a force multiplier. Yeah. Literally just any one doctrine of the Gladius is better than almost the entire package of the Space Wolves detachment, unfortunately.
But let's not get too grim, right? Because
the
first time ever, you can now take all of the Space Wolves characters together.
That's true.
Right? No more successor crap.
Dude, could you just take an army of just the special characters? So in part 2, we're going to do the points for if you added up just all the special characters, because there are a lot. And what army would that make for you? That would be freaking hilarious. But we're going to, in lieu of going through every single data sheet, because like we said I've said probably numerous podcasts by the time you're listening to this, we ain't got that kind of time, and you guys have got better things to do with your time than listen to man read data sheet, because it is quite dry. We're going to go to Jaime's biggest winners and losers, mate. Where are we going to go first?
So let's start with the champion himself, Logan Grimnar, right?
On the sleigh or not the sleigh?
Both, right? So on foot, he's identical both on foot, on the sleigh. It just changes his move characteristics and what units he can join. His rules are the exact same. And his rules are pretty cool. In combat, there's various sources of rerolls, and his ability, High King of Fenris, once per battle in your charge phase, you can activate this ability. If you do, you get army-wide reroll charges and army-wide reroll hits in combat. Pretty cool for your group.
And of course, when you couple that with your go turn of advance and charge from the Gladius, it's such a multiplier. When you advance, and then you reroll your charges after the advance. And of course, in addition, each time this model destroys an enemy unit, you gain 1 CP. I wish it said each time this model's unit, because each time this model destroys, it can be hard to do. But I like him. The only thing I always lol about with Logan is that in all the years of his life, because he's hundreds of years old, he's been unable to find anything better than a regular Stormbolter. That's all he's got, baby.
No Massive Stormbolter, no the Fang of Rust, nothing. Just a stock bolter.
It's all the armories of Fenris, and he's just like, nah, just a single Boggo standard support. I love it so much. In combat, though, he's pretty beasty. He's got a sweep attack, 10 attacks, hitting on 2s at 6, -2/1, or the big sweeps, which is 6 attacks at 8-2-3. So he is pretty poppy in combat. I do think he's all right. And it's 6 more attacks from his 2 little wolfies at 5-1-1. So he goes off. How many points does he set you back?
So he, points-wise, Logan Grimnar on foot is 145.
Ooh, yeah, that's...
And on sledge is 235.
Ooh, the sledge is a lot more. It's 90. It's what, 90-ish points for the sleigh?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
The sleigh's T6.
I don't know what. Yeah, he's T5 usually. You only get 1 more toughness for being on the sleigh. You do get double the wounds, though. You go from 6 to 12 wounds.
Yeah, and a 10-inch move is nice because then you have the advance and charge from the Gladius.
Correct.
You pair him with some Thunderwolf cavalry. But what you said was really interesting with him having to kill an enemy unit. Because he's important, you're not going to put him with a small squad of Thunderwolf cavalry. It's going to be a big, Thunderwolf cavalry. And those hit hard. So I don't know if he's ever going to be able to activate after the Thunderwolf cavalry unless you go into something really big.
Well, yeah, or really small and use him first, right? You go into 5 scouts and just punk him with Logan. That seems pretty doable. Are you
using a 500-point unit to go kill 5 scouts?
That's true. And then just stand open-mouthed in front of the Desolators who walk out from the ruin with Oath of Moment on the unit. But yeah, you got your CP. You showed them.
Yay. And there's some combos that we can talk in part 2 that make him really interesting. But that's some list building stuff that would be really cool in part 2, I think. Because there's little things you can do to even make him even more killy.
So I've never played against Logan Grimnar on the sleigh.
I have against Mark Perry. He died turn 1.
That's pretty much what I'd expect to happen. But yeah, and it's a shame, man. It's pretty much the only chapter master that doesn't see play. Azrael's everywhere. Dante's everywhere. Like so many other of these named, venerable, been around forever chapter masters are in competitive lists, and Logan has just never been there. So I would be very happy if he was this one.
Yeah.
What's the next?
I think he came out stronger than past editions. It's just so tricky to play such a big model in such a killing meta, right? So tricky. If he had Lone Operative...
Dude, that's what I expected. I expected him to have Lone Operative near Wolves or something, like near like Fenris and Wolves or Thundercav.
So cool. Oh my God.
Honestly, that would have been my assumption. Because you can't picture that model joining a unit. And I still can't. No. But either way, it is what it is, mate. What's the next starter sheet you want to go to?
Let's do Bjorn, right? Because if we're going to do epic heroes, it doesn't get more epic than Bjorn.
Well, I actually think Bjorn's pretty good.
But he doesn't have Lone Operative. So he's a Dreadnought. You better know that if you're a Space Wolves fan. And he's T9, 2-up save, which is great in this meta, 8 wounds, which is not ideal, and then 8-inch move, which is pretty good. And he has a 5-up Feel No Pain ability. So being T9 with a 2-up and a 5-up Feel No Pain is tanky.
Then... he has half damage.
Half damage, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Dude, half damage with a 2-up and Feel No Pain, 5-up. This guy is way tankier than he appears. Like, he might as well have pseudo 16 wounds. Is really, really good. What's his last ability?
Ancient Tactician. Vect. When your opponent uses a battle round, a stratagem, once per battle, you can increase the cost by 1. So that's really strong now that CP is very scarce and there's pretty big CP combos out there. It's pretty cool.
You slap that thing down on Overwatch the second your opponent even thinks about hurting your stuff in your turn. You just bang, pay the tax. And now we know also that I believe it's been confirmed, and please forgive me if I'm wrong, that this will override the zeroing of a stratagem. So apparently it goes to 0 and then you pay the 1. So if it was a 2 CP strat, your captain puts it down to 0, but then you pay 1 for it if you've used something like this on it. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. That was something somebody else told me. So if they're, I'll blast them if you guys blast me. So we can have a nice little, so the great circle of life in our hobby community. I actually don't mind the Hellfrost cannon for the equipment. What do you like putting on Beyond?
So multi-melter, 18 range, not long enough. Like you're not going to get to shoot it. Twin last cannon only being 1 shot, not great.
Not great.
Assault cannon, AP 0, heavy flamer, whatever. So yeah, between the heavy plasma or the Hellfrost, the damage 5 single shot is cool. Because I don't really want to take the hazardous damage on him. Yeah. Even though it gets halved and then you get the Feel No Pain. It's dangerous, right? Like you don't want this guy getting chipped in your own turn before he gets blown up by your opponent.
Yeah, correct. I don't mind the Hellfrost because, funnily enough, that gives him it makes him an Overwatch option within 12 because it's torrent D6 strength 6 -1 2 damage. It's actually a pretty good flamer at 12 inches or the 36-inch range, single shot. He's pretty good in combat as well. I wish he had a sweep profile, but still he's got 6 attacks at strength 12 -2 3 damage, and we've already seen a couple of ways to get that AP higher with lethal hits.
Yeah, the damage, I would have thought that True Claw has always been a really strong weapon with like D6 +2 damage or whatever. Like flat 3 damage feels a little weaker.
It does.
But the strength 12 is a really nice breaking point.
And he pops in at 220. Oh, he's more than I thought he'd be. I'd hoped he'd be around the 180, 190 mark. Yeah. But yeah, 220 is not going to break the bank, but you're not going to feel overjoyed about it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
I think the coolest upgraded character is now Ulrich the Slayer. This is our named chaplain, right?
One of the best models, the iconic canine chaplain helmet. Love it so much.
Ultimate wolf, right?
Yeah.
This guy is dope. So he is only T4, 4 wounds with a 3-up, 4-up. He does have the 6-up Feel No Pain. Defensively, he's going to die to anything. But he has 2 really cool abilities. So first is Slayer Oath. While this model is leading a unit, at the start of the fight phase, select one enemy unit with an engagement range. So this is either fight phase, when you've charged or been charged, until the end of the phase. Each time a model in this model's unit makes a melee attack that targets that enemy unit, reroll the hit roll of 1 and reroll the wound roll of 1. Rerolls are really scarce. It's really cool that you get a couple rerolls there, especially for maintaining your damage like a consistent level. And if that enemy unit you selected is a character, vehicle, or monster, until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets that character, vehicle, or monster, you reroll all hits and reroll all wounds.
It's pretty spicy, man.
Low strength, high volume units into really punchy missiles, and it's really cool.
Then his second one is the Wolf Helm of Rust, which gives to start his units within 6 a leadership characteristic of 5. So really, quite unlikely to break. The only thing I think holds him back is the units he can join, which is Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, Long Fangs, and Wolf Guard. What do you think is the best option there?
Blood Claws, because you can go to 15 mans with like 45 attacks with a couple special units in there and characters like. It's a lot of attacks, rerolling hits and rerolling wounds. You spend the CP 4+1 a wound. Now you wound almost everything in the game on 5s with rerolling wounds, with sustained hits, lethal hits, whatever full combo you want to do. It's volume of attacks with mass rerolls. It lets you hit targets that aren't your oath targets.
I was about to say it's a pseudo melee oath of moment. He only costs you 85 points as well. I think he's a bit of a value pick.
Yeah, I like him.
All right, next one.
And I think there's 100 characters. The last character on foot that I would want to cover is Ragnar.
I agree, man.
He delivers. He delivers.
I love him.
He's here to slap around, right?
So pretty much a basic captain stat line: toughness 4, 3 up save, 5 wounds, 4 up invuln. In combat, he's got sustained hits 1 with 8 attacks hitting on 2s at strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage. When 1 CP goes to AP 4, and he just goes straight through a unit of Space Marines, which is quite nice. What's his special abilities?
So his special abilities are Warhowl, which is, I think, the only source of advance and charge in Space Wolves if you're not doing Gladius. So his unit can advance and charge. And then Battle Lust. Each time this model ends a charge move until the end of the turn, add 2 to the attacks and strength characteristics of this model's Frostfang. So he's now 8 attacks, strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage.
So, sorry, he's 10 attacks.
10 attacks. Yeah. 10 attacks, strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage.
That is a hell of a sweet profile he's got. Oh, wait, it's not.
With sustain hits 1.
Yeah, he can join. Wow, interesting. So he's the Primaris model, but he can still join Wolfguard, Bloodclaws, and Grey Hunters, in addition to Assault, Intercessors, Blade Guard, and Intercessors. He's the first Primaris unit I've seen that can join non-Primaris units still. That's really cool. That's really flexible.
Yeah.
What's your pick there, by the way? Where would you put him?
So I would have thought Blade Guard, but unfortunately hitting on 3s is just not great. So I would probably go like a big block of Blood Claws.
Yep.
Or maybe a big block of Assault Intercessors. Something with a high volume that's going to just push through a target.
I like that a lot. All right, give us some of the more basic data sheets, because, dear Lord, we didn't even cover half the special characters.
There's 2 more characters, but we'll leave that for part 2 because those are part of the lists that I'm building.
Sure. Easy.
So data sheets, Blood Claws. So these are cool because their special rule is Berserker Charge. When you make a charge, add +1 attack and +1 strength.
Nice.
So your start is Chain Swords. Although we only have 3 attacks compared to the 4 that most people have, you still get to that 4 and you go to strength 5, AP 1 damage.
I like that.
Yeah, so go ahead.
What's the loadout like? Like, how many special weapons can you have? Can you give them many, how many power fists and things like that can you fit in there?
Yeah, so you can go from 10 to 15 models, and then the sergeant can take a power fist or power weapon. And then for up to 2 guys, regardless of the size of the squad, can take special weapons. So flamers, grav gun, melter gun, plasma. In terms of like power fists scattered in the squad, only the sergeant can take it. You can add battle leaders to the squad to add an extra Thunderhammer or power fist.
Yep.
But it's cool because the +1 attack and strength applies to models in this unit that will apply to the characters. So if you go Ragnar in here, he now goes to 11 attacks, strength 9.
9. What a savage! And of course, this unit takes a 1 CP +1 AP like a freaking champ. Going to like 4 attacks each at strength 5 -2 is legitimately really good.
With +1 wound.
Yeah, I don't need to tell you guys at home if you played a couple of games, but getting out of the strength 4 bracket and not wounding any vehicle on the game on a 6. So legitimately, every freaking transport you're wounding on a 6 with a strength 4 gun now, or strength 4 attack. Yeah. As soon as you get out of the strength 4 band, like, it's a whole new freaking world. So I'm there for that a lot. I think it's great.
Exactly. So points wise, they cost 140 for 10 or 210 for 15. Right, so they're 14 points a model, which is not bad.
Dude, 2 wounds with a 3-up save for 7 points a wound at toughness 4. That's great. And OC 2 as well. Yeah, I like him, man. I like him a lot.
Yeah, so I like him. Grey Hunters, nah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I looked at Grey Hunters and I was like, oh. Like, what? You got to take units of 10. You can't even take small units of 5.
Exactly.
Like, you attack Marines, and I'm sorry to say, this ain't your era.
It ain't it, man. Wolfguard right after them again with turning weapons, guys. We're just gonna have to wait.
So legit. So even worse than Vanguard vets because they can't even take jump packs anymore. It sucks so much. What just hurts my feelings is that the picture of the Wolfguard is a guy with a Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield, and that Thunderhammer. Heirloom weapon, baby. Just never heard of it. It's just
Thunderhammers being 1 damage is a little bit of a trend in this codex.
It's it's not a Thunderhammer. It's a stick. It's just a stick. It's just an imagination. It sucks so bad. What's next?
You mentioned Wolfguard Terminators. Let's go through those.
I don't hate them. So they got the same buff as all other, so the same ability as all other Terminators, as in like they ignore the modifiers to weapon skill, bliss skill, and the hit roll and stuff. And if you're attacking the Oath of Moment target, you get +1 to hit, which I think it's fine. It's decent ability. What I was going to ask you, do they still have all the customization options that they had before? Like, could you really go down the rabbit hole of picking exactly what you need for the meta?
Yes. So basically, any model can switch its Power Fist and Stormbolter for and replace them with any two of the following: Stormbolter, Combi Weapon, Chain Fist, Power Weapon, Thunderhammer, Storm Shield. So you can
Nice.
do any loadout you want. You can't take double Combi Weapon, but you can do any loadout you want.
Dude, I actually like the idea of the combi weapons on them because using Oath of Moment and then no one's being able to, because one of the biggest issues with the combi weapons is you hit them on, usually they hit on 4s with combi weapons. Yep. Yes, yours hit on 4s. So, but with the Wolf Guard, nobody can make you hit on 5s. No popping of smoke, right. No nothing, because that's what kind of I'm planning to do against them. Like they try and mortal me out. Well, I'll try and make you hit me on 5s, and then you probably don't do much. But always hitting on 4s, being able to deep strike them into rapid fire range with the combi weapons into an Oath of Moment target, so they get to hit on 3s with the combi weapons. Sounds okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the sad part is we did lose our Cyclone Missile Launcher, Storm Shield, Thunderhammer guy.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to take a Cyclone Missile Launcher, Assault Cannon, you have to switch out the combat weapon as well.
Correct. What do you think's the best melee weapon to chuck on these guys? Just roll with the fist or the chain fist?
Good question.
Yeah, I don't actually know, because you could just roll with just Thunderhammer combi weapon, I guess.
So, assuming you're charging your Oath of Moment target because you want the +1 to hit, it makes chain fist and Thunderhammers really interesting because you then hit on 3s.
Correct.
But with no rerolls, it's tricky, right? Like maybe you want the Power Fist to hit on 2s. Like it's, I don't know yet. I don't know what the meta is going to require. I don't know what the best loadout's going to be. Maybe a mix would be pretty good if you're taking 10-man bricks. That could be interesting.
Hounds of Morkai is up next, and we're already moving on. I wonder what GW will have to do to make that unit good. Like,
honestly, man, we might want to stay on Hounds of Morkai because the next one is Wolfen, and I'm not emotionally ready to talk about that.
Yeah, let's go back to the Hounds of Morkai. So this is the second point where everyone should be raising their glass and pouring one out, because I got to tell you, man, since I think it was it 7th edition when Wolfen came out? I think it was 7th edition when Wolfen came out. GW it's just always been the unit that I feel like GW's always worried about it being broken. Like they're always worried about Wolfen being too good. And so they can only make them OP or trash tier garbage. There's only ever been 2 variants of Wolfen.
Right, because like you can't be like, you can only take Wolfen if you have a chaplain in the army, or your Wolfen has to stay within 6 of the chaplain kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's ways to limit them, man, lore-wise. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I agree. But they suck so bad. Oh my god. They're not expensive. I think they're 20 points a model. Did I remember that right?
I think less.
5 models is 100 points. So yeah, 20 points a model. Which is toughness 5, only a 4-up save, but 2 wounds. 0 OC. No OC to be had here. They feel no pain 6+, and no matter what weapon you give them, they are strength 5, rend 1 damage. Just sweet, merciful Lord. They don't do shit. And
so someone asked GW on Facebook, and GW responded saying, no, it wasn't a mistake. You now get to choose between lots of attacks with the claws or more sustainability with the hammer and shield. So you get to pick which one you want. Both are crap. Both aren't worth it, but you get to pick.
But you get to pick. Yay. Thank you. So happy. The giant douche and turd sandwich is in full effect. I have genuinely liked the look of some of the dreads. Like having a dreadnought with a 4+ invulnerable save, 6 I feel no pain, like the Wolfen dreads and stuff like that. Are there any of the Space Force specific dreads that are worth it?
So if fixed, Murderfang, because Murderfang has an ability. So he has a T9 2-up with a 6-up feel no pain, and he has an ability that says each time he's attacked, either shooting or combat, he gets to retaliate. So either shoot back or fight back. Sick. Right now, core rules say units can only ever fight once. So again, that's a TO thing. his rule says every time he gets slapped, he slaps back.
Well, being shot by him ain't going to hurt so much with his heavy flamer and his storm bolter. But yeah, like getting slapped back, if he gets to, you charge him with 2 units, one of them fights, doesn't kill him, and he fights back, and then he fights again. Like, ooh, that's spicy meatball.
You charge him into like 5 or 6 different units, like guard squads and intercessors.
Yeah.
And they have to fight you, and you just go blah, blah, that's
a bad time. So the murder claws are twin linked. He's got 8 attacks, only hitting on 3s, but strength 14 -2, 3 damage. That 3 damage again, which is interesting. I think it's more befitting the claws of Murderfang than Bjorn. But
than True Claw, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, hilarious twin linked at strength 14. I mean, ain't only going to come up against vehicles, and monsters.
Unfortunately, no lone operative, so very hard to get him into combat. You can rapid ingress him.
Yep.
Which is a cool way to do it.
Ooh, I just realized, so he has no damage reduction and no invuln, so it's just, riding that 2+ armor.
Yep.
Yikes. How many points will he run you?
Also expensive, 190.
190. Oh, he doesn't, at least Bjorn shoots a gun. Yeah, yikes.
Bjorn has half damage for 10 more points.
He does. Wow, he does. Holy crap. All right. Thunderwolf Cav. Can we please have Thunderwolf Cav back in the game? Tell me.
That's a question for part 2, I think.
That's a good one. Well, give us your... fair enough. So they're 3 models for 100 points, so they're 93... they're 33.5 points each or some crazy crap. Some wild distinction. Each time they make a charge move until the end of the turn, add 1 to the damage characteristic of melee weapons equipped by this unit. But they only have freaking heirloom weapons now.
Well,
yeah.
Heirloom weapons sucks, but they also have the crushing teeth and claws, and it's all weapons. So all of these go to damage 2, and any characters attached
that join them
get +1 damage.
There it is. There's the spicy meatball. So wait a second. Logan's an animal with this unit.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Logan's a baller.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Yeah, fair. He's got he has one of the best sweeps in the game. There are so few multi-damage sweeps. And people are going out of their way to find them. So there you go. There's one of them. All right. One more data sheet, mate.
Do we touch the flyers? I'm not a big fan of flyers.
Me either. I think they, I think flyers in general suck this edition. But hey, if they look good to you, I'm down.
No,
they don't.
No, as you mentioned, the Dreadnoughts are cool because they have 4-up invulns and they're T9 with a 2-up, so those are very viable. What is not viable is our 1 wound scouts.
I hope that is a mistake. I really pray and hope that is a mistake, mate, because it just does not make sense to me.
No, it's tough, man. So I think there's interesting stuff here. There's very fluffy lists you can make, and we're definitely going to dive into that in part 2. It's character smash and trying to get into combat in a shooty meta.
Yeah, trying to close the distance at the right times. Calling your shot is going to be big. Like you're almost calling a war because you're going to be in the Gladius and you're going to slap down that advanced charge in your command phase and just kind of send it. But in saying that, you still have all the same benefits that a Marine Army has. You still have Oath of Moment with access to Desolated Marines and the other really powerful things inside that core book. So there's still a lot to like about the Space Wolves. And man, we unpacked quite a few spicy characters. Like I'm pretty excited about seeing Bjorn and Logan back on the table would bring me a lot of personal joy.
And together, right? Like
in the same list,
you want to do it.
That's like the 2 geriatrics of the 41st millennium, just hanging out, to kicking ass and taking names. I love it.
Completely.
So in the competitive lexicon, mate, if you were to put these guys in our regular conventional tiers, where would you put them in like the D to S tier?
D to S tier ranking for Space Wolves. Are we doing push the competitive or play Space Wolves? Because like you can go, here's Logan with 30 Desolators and 3 Gladiators and whatever, right? So are we trying to keep it Space Wolf-y or we're doing Marines with a Space Wolf character?
Well, so it's a competitive show, right? So it's probably the best possible list you can do with Space Wolves. Where does it sit?
Bottom of B, obviously.
Bottom of B, top of C.
Yeah, because they're still Marines. They still have damage. It's just the really cool combos are combats, and if you're not going to do those, do a different chapter.
Fair. That is fair. I was going to put them in A tier. I was probably going to put them top of B, bottom of A.
Really?
I think most of the Marines end up around the A tier, especially the Death Watch, the Ultramarine, stuff like that. I mean, I think the best Marines, which I think personally is Death Watch, could be in the S tier with Eldar.
Yeah.
Maybe obviously below Eldar. Eldar is like, if there was an S plus tier, Eldar's up there. But yeah, I do think they're up there. Like, of just any Marines, I don't think a Marine can be outside B tier probably. Which just because you're the basic formula of the army of just be like, use Oath well, shoot Desolator Marines and Whirlwinds, cool, win a bunch of games anyway. It's probably just there as a fallback.
For sure. But that's just not Space Wolves, right?
It's really not, mate. You're absolutely right. It's really not.
Whirlwinds and Desolators is like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, Snorefest. Anyway, on that note, we will wrap this up and go over and record part 2. We're going to unpack Jaime's spicy wolfy lists. The wolf time is nigh. And hopefully you will join us. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully we're giving you some hope for your Space Wolf armies out there. And yes, there is still some hope for a flavorful lists. Certainly for many of the Space Marine factions, and hell, most of the factions in the game hopefully can still have a very flavorful list rather than just unga-bungering, windmill slamming, the best indirect you can get for the points.
Exactly.
All right, mate. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the other side, and say goodnight.
Let's do it. Good night, boys.
Thank you for listening to Art of War Down Under, a content review podcast for Warhammer 40k, hosted by Adam Camilleri, produced by Seamus Ronan. Enjoyed the show? Want your lists reviewed and the content you heard put into practice? Sign up to our Patreon and connect with us online or on Facebook. Just search for Art of War Down Under. Signing out from tomorrow.